Oh, guys, we just didn't know that this thing was already on air. Well, welcome back to Being 40 Show. Frank Mola, Venus Chengo on Being 40. Venus, bring us into episode 12.
Yani,
sorry.
producer, you cannot tell us you're already rolling. Yani, yeah, you have to, please, yeah, msituaibishe. Yeah, so karibuni guys, welcome to our show, Being 40, your favorite show, I believe. And today we are going to be talking about leadership, Frank. And
right.
I think mostly we'd like to talk about leadership in the home, in the organization, and probably we can move into the, country and see what we have to share about it. So, karibuni sana, keep the feedback coming. We just love the fact that you're always, whenever our episodes are released, you're always there to give us real-time feedback. Frank, when you talk about leadership, what comes into mind?
It's a good question. I mean, when I think of leadership, I always say leadership is mind in action. Right? For you to be a leader, your mind has to be always in action. You really need to be active. You really need to be very deliberate. To me, leadership is not about titles. Leadership is not about positions. Leadership is not about I'm coming out, I'm a director, I'm a vice president, I'm a managing director. To me, leadership, the reason I say it's a mind in action, you have to be deliberate to be a leader. You have to have a purpose to be a leader. And that's why I very much advocate for what I call servant leadership and just not leadership. Because as a leader, you're a servant.
Yes.
As a leader, you've been called to lead and to achieve a certain mission and a certain vision.
Very true.
And the only way you can be successful as a leader is by how many more other leaders and how many more other people you've brought up, but not by stepping on people. And my phone is ringing because I forgot to put it on silent, so you'll forgive me, and this is Godfrey.
And that is not leadership,
this
when
is
you're
not
going
leadership,
into
so I'll
meetings.
just throw it away.
Thank you.
Even if it breaks, that's not leadership.
That's not leadership.
When you're in a meeting, please don't do that. When you go into a meeting, please switch off your phones and put them on the side. So that's not leadership.
So we'll put your phone aside.
Okay,
Thank you very much. You see where mine is?
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's leadership. And actually, I'm happy you just practice it.
Yes.
So you have to be deliberate. And what has just happened with the phone, you'll see a number of people going into meetings, if I talk about the corporate world, and you have a boss or a leader who says, don't be on your phones, but your boss is the one on the phone. That is not leadership, because you have to lead by example. And that's why I talked about servant leadership. You must serve. And for me, that's a definition of leadership, generally, as a whole.
Wow,
so
that's really, 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 really profound, Frank. And looking at, into leadership, and something that you have brought, we as leaders, we also are allowed to make mistakes. We always learn. Like now, the fact that your phone has, rung, then it reminds you that there's something you're supposed to do, because someone out there is always watching. Remember, leadership has to do with honesty or integrity. Yeah? There's someone who is, there's that eye that is always watching. So when we come into the family and knowing that you have two very handsome young men, what is your leadership there? You've talked about servant leadership. Does it mean that you go out there and serve your kids? What does it mean when it comes to the family setup?
Good question. I mean, for one, I think we all know that in the Bible, God created Adam, and Adam was made the head, so to speak, if you have to bring it in the current context. And Adam was given certain responsibilities as a leader of the family, right? And since this is also in the good book, in terms of leadership, as a man, to lead your family, you must have certain values, you must have certain principles. And for me, having boys and raising boys, they look at me as a mentor. They look at me as, remember, kids in a home setting, every time you tell a child not to do something, it's always, they don't listen, but they see what you're doing. So what you do is what they're going to copy. What you tell them, they'll never do it. So they observe. And that's what I've picked with my boys, right? But along the way I realized, and this is where even we were talking before we got to this point, off-carve, the way somebody is brought up can really carve the way you also build onto your family.
Exactly.
But their behaviors, sometimes you need to drop off. So for me, there are certain behaviors where I would sit back and I feel I need to discipline my children in a certain way because I was disciplined in a certain way. But not being aware that times have changed and a lot of things have changed. Jeremy, being a teenage, we have to sit and have conversations, basically. What I've come to learn about leadership as a father, you need to have a unique formula for your own family because it's different. I will not go and seek advice anywhere because I also need to look at my children differently. The way I treat Jeremy is not the same way I'm going to treat Jermaine or, you know, the different boys. Each child has their own strengths and their own weaknesses. So you have to look at them as individuals by themselves and without generalizing. I mean, saying, what did you guys do? You have to personalize it and talk to this one and say, let's discuss this. And this one, let's discuss this. The other thing that I was taught through some counseling sessions that I was going through, which, guys, counseling is very good. I would really advocate. Don't go for counseling just when there are problems. Start going for counseling even before, because the counselors like Venus will show you roadblocks or will show you pitfalls that you can avoid so you don't get into it.
Very true.
One of the things I learned during one of the counseling sessions was we need to come up with like a family meeting, possibly every Sunday, possibly a nice dinner, and this dinner you have to spoil it like
I love
people
that.
have
Keep on,
everything,
yes.
and then you have meetings. So today it's daddy who's sharing. The next week is mommy who's sharing. The next week is somebody else. And if daddy is chairing the session, then everybody gives daddy feedback. When it's time for mom, everybody gives mom feedback. And when you start practicing this, you start bringing some inclusion.
Yes.
And for me, that's how servant leadership comes out.
Wow. You're so profound, and I love the fact that you have brought in what we call teams, because leadership has to do with teams. You cannot be a leader if there's no one following you, you know? And another thing that you have brought up is the issue of communication, because yes, you're given a team, and you're given, you know, there's a role you play, a very critical role that puts you in a space of dominance. Actually, in psychology, we say most, you know, the greatest leaders have a sort of like a dominance in them. It is something that human science says. I don't know what your perception is about it, but I feel that, you know, being a man and seeing that God gave you that, you know, that role, at the beginning, you know, when he created Adam, it was Adam who was given that role to play, you know, as the leader of the family. How does your dominance then come in? You know, other than having those, you know, family meetings, which I really advocate for, because, you know, it creates that, you know, safe space where children can give you feedback without feeling they're being judged, you know, and the ambience is right. We are eating good food, and dad is a bit flexible. He's moved from being that, you know, dominant dad, and now we can talk one-on-one, because that's communication. Communication requires feedback. Now, when it comes to the dominance, because then you have to bring in your masculinity and, you know, that role. How do you bring it out without making the kids or your wife, you know, feel like, oh, okay, you know, you're rubbing us too hard on you. Yes.
I mean, it's a good point. I think when you start with the family meetings, you become vulnerable as the head of the family. Let's say, for me, I'm always on my phone. And my last born will sit back and tell me that you're always on your phone. How I respond to that is very important. The beauty of these family setups is where, when they see that is vulnerable, right, and they give me feedback, important is, you talked about communication, I need to take in the feedback. I should not fight it back, because this is them seeing you in their own lenses. So this is what your son is seeing. Take it and embrace it and accept it and tell them, thank you very much for the feedback. But next Sunday, we know it's mom's turn on the table. Then mom will also talk, we'll give mom feedback. Take it. If the children start seeing there's a pattern by which, oh, actually, if daddy can take feedback, mom can take feedback, we should also be able to take feedback. You're leading by example as a servant leader. Now, once they get to know that space and that environment is free and we can talk, I call it being assertive. How does your dominance come out without feeling like you're rubbing people the wrong way? If you go to a supermarket and your son or your daughter decides they want to pick something, sit back and say, no, you're not going to have that. But later you can have a conversation and say, you're not going to have it because it was not planned. But if you want to have it, this is how we need to get it, right? I'm a strong advocate of, as a man, if you're moving into a house for the people who are starting life together, I genuinely feel for you to lead your family the right way, when you're starting your family, please keep friends away. Please keep your boys away, keep your girlfriends away, or be it at the inception. Okay. Because you guys are not yet mature enough to handle certain things. When people start coming in, a home is meant to be a peaceful place.
Very
a
true.
home is meant to be some place you go to.
I agree.
And you're relaxing and everything else. But if you have people coming into your house to watch football all the time, up to I don't know what time, you're converting your house into something else. This affects your leadership as a man in the family. You're bringing intruders into your family. So that assertion should not only be with your family, but also with other people who are coming in. And your kids and your wife should be able to see that, yes, we are being protected. Remember, for a man, for you to complete that dominance, you have to provide, you have to protect, you have to be a priest, and you have to prophesy. They're usually 5 P's, but I think I can capture 4 now. And each of the P's I've talked about are critical. For you to lead, you must provide, not financially, emotionally, every other aspect. You must be a priest, meaning you must lead your family to the church every Sunday. You as a man, you must prophesy. You need to show your family, where are we going? And you must protect. When they see daddy, they see a sense of protection. So all these, the dominance can come in all these P's without you using strength.
I love that. And I think what you're trying to say is what Mahatma Gandhi put out there: be the change that you want to see. But looking at that person who's in their 20s, a father probably who, you know, is in his 20s, that one who's in his 30s, and they're looking up to us in terms of even, you know, advice. What do you have to tell them when it comes to what you call, you know, because our children mirror us, you know. For example, you cannot sit and have a family meeting when you come home drunk,
Of course.
okay, in the middle of the night or probably in the early morning hours. You cannot, you know, sit down and have a meeting when you're always shouting at your wife, and your kids have seen this.
Yes.
So does this mean before you sit down and start this communicative channel, you know, where you know, discuss issues in the family, you yourself have to be that change first, because your kids have been watching you as a leader. Okay, so you've been harsh, you've been maybe involved in violence, domestic violence, you're a drunkard, you're irresponsible, you don't provide. Does this mean that first you work on you as Frank before you bring the family to the table?
It's true. I mean, you can't preach water and drink wine, right? And Bill George, in the book Finding Your True North, it's all about authenticity. And what Bill George alludes to, he says, before you try to solve anything, you need to face your own crucibles. Now, as a father, you need to find, what are my crucibles that I need to face before anything else? Because there has to be your authentic self as a leader before anything happens. I cannot come home drunk and I want to tell you, like, my children, please do not drink. It's not a good thing. I'm preaching water and I'm drinking wine, right? So you must face your crucibles first. You must be very authentic. You must have certain values. And this is how that leadership comes out. But if you're trying to solve for leadership or to become a leader, that one I call a dictatorship or intimidation to the family, which never goes far. It has a certain lifeline. So you must first, as a father, look at your own crucibles. And crucibles vary by different people. Maybe somebody's drinking, maybe somebody's coming home late, maybe somebody's bringing friends to the house, or maybe somebody's arrogant, insultive, you name it. You have to face that crucible yourself. And if it is a challenge, accept the problem that you have, share with your family or your wife and say, I have a drinking problem and this is the measures I'm taking to get out of it. You cannot change people without changing yourself first.
Wow.
You cannot lead.
Wow, awesome, awesome stuff. And I think, Frank, conclusively, what you're talking about is personality and intentionality, you know, in whatever you do when it comes to leadership.
Yes.
And just maybe shifting into, you know, the organizational level.
Yes.
Like for me, I work with new teams. Can you imagine every day I have a new person in my team? I have never met them. I do not know their personality. But of course, you know, having that psychological knowledge, I'm able to pick out, you know, traits and, you know, classify people according to their temperaments, and I'm able to know where to place them in the team. But of course, we know that there's a lot of, you know, manipulation and all that, and that's where servant leadership comes in. Now, as we conclude, Frank, what do you think, you know, what are the 3 things that you think come, you know, contribute to great leadership, you know, regardless of whether it's a home or organization or even in the country? What do you think are the 3 critical things that any leader needs to have?
I think, like I said, you must be authentic, number 1. And that's the most critical basic that you can have. If you're not authentic, people will see through you, all right? In organizations, when you get promoted, don't chase the title, because why do you want to have a title and you're not impacting people or influencing people, right? I share and I say, people say lead from the front. I believe you need to lead from the back. Why do I say that? It is because you need to see where your people are going to. You need to direct your people in a certain direction. And if you go to a church and you see where the priest, the pastor, or the father is preaching, they preach facing their people. They don't preach facing that side, whereby now, guys, this is the way we are going, so I'll preach facing this way as we move this. No, they face the audience or the congregation.
Exactly.
And what that happens is, if anything was even to happen behind, these people are the ones who are going to tell you, hey, Father, there is something happening behind, because you can't see. You must be that leader where your people trust you so much that they remove any traps and any issues that come around. So lead from behind. If you look at the birds, the way birds fly in the evening, they usually have a V shape, right? In front, there's one. Behind, you see there is like, because they have this shape. Most of the ones that are behind are the ones who are taking care of the whole flock. And they're the strongest. They have to be there. Of course, there's one in front because they're the ones breaking the wind. But if you see the pattern of the birds, when the one in front is tired, this on the back always shifts and come back. So they keep on being in a rotation. But there's a lot of action happening from this point. So for me, I believe leadership in the corporate space, you call for servant leadership. You must be deliberate. You must be authentic. Drop the titles. I mean, Robin Sharma wrote a book, A Leader Without Title. If you look at football, for the guys who love football, Jose Mourinho led Chelsea for the longest time. He never played football, but he was a leader. There's some skill sets that he had to drive that conversation. Sir Alex Ferguson wrote a book called Leading. It has all these basic principles about leadership. So when you have a title, guys, it's not about the title. It's about the impact. It's about bringing people up. There's another book also called The Leader from Hell, because we have leaders, bosses from hell.
Yes.
So the question is, if you find you have a boss from hell, guys, there's a book called, what's the name? It's The Boss from Hell. Look for that book. You'll see your boss, a character there if your boss fits in. And I think lastly, if you talk about a country, leadership from a country perspective, and I allude to Obama himself, right? When Obama went to White House, I almost said State House, to White House, the first thing he did, he removed all television sets in the White House and replaced with bookshelves. Whoever is coming to visit, be it whichever president, you must read as a leader. And that's why I said leadership is mindset in action. You need books to feed your mind, for you to grow. Exactly. Not TVs.
Wow, wow, wow.
And even in the house. I don't know if your kids have TVs in their room, but I will not advocate for that.
No way. Remember, I'm that authoritative parent. So we go by regulations. Even TV time, you know, we allocate certain time to watch TV. After that, TV is put off and they go and do certain things. And I think maybe sharing my own perspective, I feel that leadership is about who you are, knowing yourself very well so that you can be able to see, and have goals on what you want to see in your team.
Yeah.
Number 2 is also working on a vision. What is it that you want to achieve? And, taking up your team, being back there, supporting your team well enough to achieve your goals. And the last thing, why do you want to achieve all this? So it's the 3 W's. And as I conclude, guys, Mahatma Gandhi said, be the leader, be the change that you want to see in everyone else. So this is being 40. Thank you so much for joining in. At the end of the day, remember, like, share and subscribe, and please don't forget to give us feedback, because it is through your feedback that we are able to build on content. So please like, share and subscribe. That's share and subscribe. I'm a cow, so yes, but share and subscribe. So till next time, this is Being 40.
It's all about being 40, guys. And once again, thank you very much for watching us. Remember, we have leaders without titles. We have people who are leaders and necessarily they don't have positions. As young as whichever age you want to be. We have leaders in the church and all spectrum. You can be a leader where you are. It's up to you. It's all about being 40 at 40. Please like, subscribe, and share, like Pina said. Till season finale, guys. Stay locked. Cheers.
Hi guys, this is the Mind Spot moment where we talk about psychological facts. John Maxwell, in his own words, say that people buy a person before they buy into his vision. And when you look into psychological facts, one thing that stands out is your temperament, otherwise known as personality type. For you to be loved by people, you have to have traits that people can buy. Simple things like respect, having that, what do they call, you don't bring out too much of your dominance into other people, trying to control or manipulate them. And truly, even when it comes to family, your kids will buy you before they buy what you're telling them. Now, I'd like to just place a challenge to you. What are your fears? What are your, shortcomings in terms of your personality? Those are the things that you really need to work on before you can go out there and give people a vision, okay? So what I'd like to leave you with is work on you as a person. Work on your personality. Work on your failures. When you're able to work on these things, then and only then will people buy into your vision and the goals that you have for your family or the teams that you lead. So once again, this is the Mind Spa moment where we talk about psychological facts. Please like, share and subscribe onto our channel, Being 40. Thank you.
Greeting, guys. This is the brutal facts section on Being 40. And basically what I'm going to tell you is there's a lot of books when it comes to leadership. We were talking about leadership previously, just on the session, right? And when you talk about leadership, there's Sir Alex Ferguson. He wrote a book called Leading. John C. Maxwell has written awesome books on leadership. Robin Sharma is another brilliant author. And of course, for you to be a leader, you must be authentic. Look for Bill George. How to find your true north. Now, a few things I'm going to tell you about leadership. And leadership is a mindset in action. That's what I want you to keep in mind today's brutal fact. Some questions that I want to give you today. 1, how can you discover your unique purpose as a leader? Number 2, what is the most effective daily habit that any leader should develop? Number 3, how do you motivate an unmotivated person? And number 4, how would you work with a difficult leader who has no vision? It's all about leadership, guys. And every time you make a promise and commitment as a leader, my friend, I'm telling you, you must live to that commitment and you must live to that promise. Don't keep on shifting your goalposts. A good leader takes people where they want to go. A great leader takes people where they don't necessarily want to go but ought to be. And as I close, guys, remember, titles do not make you a leader. Position doesn't mean you can lead. It is when you make a difference in others, that is what makes you as a leader. So remember, be authentic, be genuine, be yourself, and that's it's all about. Be a servant leader. That's what it's all about. We are going back to being 40 and 40. And remember, subscribe, like, and share. Being 40, 40, Fourty. Thank you. That's me, Frank Mola. See you in season finale, guys. And remember, be a servant leader always. Brutal facts on being 40. Thank you. It's all about being 40, guys. This is how we do it. Rumba pole pole. Oh, it's all about being 40 at 40. This is how we do it. Venus, let's do 2 steps. 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah. Swing. Enjoy. At 40, you can still enjoy. Yeah, it's possible. Hapa ni wapi? It's being 40 hapa. Eh? Aya, so twende hivi. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. You can join us, guys. It's being 40. It's the new 20. We are going back to being 20, guys. It's all about being 40. It's our story. Hapo. Aya. Unaona eh? Rumba. Aya. Pause. 1, 2. Pause. 1, 2. Pause. 1, 2. Pause. 1, 2. Pause. Ebu. Tupe move. You don't. Ndio move tunafanya. Aya, sawa. Hey. Being 40. Aya, twende. Tulifuate basi. Guys, it's all about being 40 and 40. Remember, 40 is the new 20. We are going back to being 20 as well. It's all about our story. It's being 40. Dance and chat. Woo! Yeah? Oh, I am. Join us. Ta 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 ta. We are making it easy at 40. Hapa ni wapi? It's at being 40. Enjoy. Easy. Nice and slow, guys. Thank you very much for watching. It's all about being 40 and 40. Dance and chat. Have fun. 40 is not old, guys. 20s. Yeah, so we're just going back. Remember, season finale is coming. You can't miss that. We'll be taking you back to our hood, where we were born, guys. Thank you. Cheers. Stay safe, stay cool. We are